Good afternoon. Welcome to Integrating for an Evolving Supply Chain. I'm Chris Borneman, VP and CTO with Software G Government Solutions. Our supply chains are under tremendous pressure to adapt and change to meet the demands of flexibility, increase visibility, and introduce new capabilities. However, the way we connect our supply chain systems together within the enterprise and across the supply chain still primarily remains unchanged. In this session, we will look at how we got there, what is holding us back, and what are some key enablers to address this quickly by leveraging our existing systems. Lastly, we will look at a few different success stories. First, let me tell you a little about myself. I have served as a CTO for the past 20 plus years, which included 10 years connecting the aerospace supply chain for some of the largest aerospace companies in the world, including Boeing, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, and Raytheon Technology Corporation. I have enjoyed a long history taking advantage of network systems and began developing for the internet back in 1994. A project I am currently working on is launching our first FedRAMP EA and IP portfolio management service. I think this FedRAMP service is very relevant as it relates to our supply chain and in enterprises, as it allows you to capture systems and capabilities, identify where and how your data is exchanged and the frequency of the updates, determine which systems are ready to move to the cloud, and develop your roadmap to transform, integrate, and evolve your supply chain and enterprise systems. I should also mention a little bit about Software G. We are the developer of the most capable integration platform, webMethods. Our focus is on solving the tough integration challenges for agencies. We believe it is important to do so by providing the freedom to connect your systems together, regardless of the technology providers housing that data, wherever that data may reside. We do this at scale, delivered securely, and can address any complexity. This is why we are the backbone of some of the largest government agencies, banks, and commercial organizations in the world. I am part of a government solutions team, and we service the federal civilian, DoD, and defense supply chain with our experienced team of cleared individuals. And before we begin, let's start out by declaring our goals for integrating for an evolving supply chain. First, we need to recognize that we can't get anywhere fast if we have to start all over with everything. So we want to have an approach that will let us leverage our existing assets in a heterogeneous environment and reduce the cost and complexity to connect them together while making it faster and cheaper to add new trading partners, services, and applications to our environment. We need to have a full traceability of what data is moving, where and how it's initiated, and by integrating systems together to be able to produce auditable transactions and even auditable financial results. We want to apply a consistent, always maintained security layer for all of our connections. And most importantly, we want to be an enabler for our mission success. I'm sure this won't come as a surprise, but large enterprise IT environments are very complex. Here's what we typically encounter both in government as well as the commercial space and how they got that way. It already started with lots of complexity. Lots of applications that have been connected together in a point-to-point architecture. There are one or more large financial or ERP systems, perhaps one or more data warehouses, maybe some file transfers to partners and vendors or other agencies, and likely some web architectures. Then along came cloud, and we've seen a few targeted examples of offloading some services out of the large ERP systems to possibly something like a transportation management system, or TMS, or a case management tool in a private or public cloud. And with that move to cloud, we still need to connect those cloud applications back to our on-premise environment and address the security implications of that. And we've added mobility. Perhaps we've exposed some of our internal web interfaces to the internet for mobile access, or we have created a few new point solutions. But these interfaces require connectivity, and so in an effort to address these emerging needs, we had still more connections and complexity. And now we want IoT and sensors. We all know the pattern. We will add still more connections, and we'll continue to always add more applications. What we have created is a fragile environment that is costly to operate, slow to evolve, and sensitive to disruption. While this diagram shows a high-level abstraction of the complexity in any large organization that existed for years or decades, let us look at a real-world example. You may have seen something like this produced as a large plotter printout hanging up on a wall in a conference room, team area, or hallway. This is a great representation of real customers and their complex environments. But what happens when we subject our systems to rapidly changing requirements? The perfect example is the impact COVID-19 has had on our supply chain and workforces. How well our systems can operate, perhaps remotely, is a factor. But even more importantly, how well are our systems designed and connected together to ingest new data from our partners or our supply chain and add new feeds of data to other departments or services? Can we respond to changing tariffs that might drive supply chain changes? Do we have the ability to quickly respond to changing conditions without breaking our current systems? Last November, Gartner published a report called Future of Supply Chain, Reshaping the Profession. The results of their analysis have determined that supply chains and the systems that power them are going through such an evolution that will affect how we even define the profession. They do an excellent job of outlining the 4 big trends that are forcing supply chains to change and why they believe it is reshaping the profession. After making their case, they also shared their survey results. What are the barriers organizations cite that are inhibiting their ability to evolve and respond to these pressures? While there are a list of several roadblocks, 3 main things stood out. Culture, of course, typically is one of the top 3 challenges with any big change, and not surprising, it ended up as number 1 here. Moving on to number 2, though, was that technology that has been built over many years and the inefficient ways we integrate them together are outdated. They are too rigid, they are frail, it drives large expense, and they are complicated to upgrade for many reasons, including point-to-point connections. Because of this, poor integration and connectivity of systems, the data is siloed. Siloed data is hard to analyze, generally incomplete, with pieces of data spread across multiple systems of record, and they are always slow to be reconciled. But it's also important, and I quote the report here, Gartner found that technology is by far the driving force behind this evolution. This matches what we ourselves see at our customers. Having the right technology and applying it in the right way can enable you to leverage your existing technologies while rapidly connecting to new applications, build depths, trading partners, and cloud services. So what is our approach, and how has this helped programs such as the Navy ERP program? I'll talk more about the Navy ERP use case in a little bit, but first, let's cover some key concepts. We start out by providing an enterprise-grade federated integration hub. Rather than doing all that point-to-point integration and creating expensive custom interfaces for each connection, we utilize connectors. Leveraging our large connector library, we can quickly establish integration into each of your technologies, whether they be mainframe, 10-year-old legacy applications, Java, .NET, COTS, GOTS, or cloud. We will connect using one of our many existing connectors. We then can visually address any data transformation or translation services without using code, and design our integration logic visually, again, without using code. We can utilize business rules that can be maintained outside of IT so that we can be very responsive to changing conditions. We can capture key transactional metadata and metrics to provide timely visibility to your siloed data, even while it is in motion. And lastly, we can expose all this as modern APIs, fully secured with consistent security and policy enforcement. In fact, one of our customers told us that leveraging this approach saves them 50% of the effort to develop new APIs. That is a huge cost and time savings, and an enabler for evolving your supply chain. I can also share with you my own personal story. Before I joined Software G, I was also a customer for 10 years, connecting the aerospace and defense supply chain. By leveraging this integration hub approach, we were able to perform over half a dozen upgrades without issue and without recoding, because we did all of it with our integration visibly. That integration hub continues to operate today, supporting $100 billion in annual spend across the supply chain. I've mentioned the concept of connectors a few times now. When I refer to connectors, I'm referring to many categories of connectors that are already pre-built and maintained by Software AG. We even give you the ability to create new connectors and share them within our tech community, or leverage connectors that have been created by others. We've spoken about data silos, which can exist within your enterprise and across your supply chain. Let's give a real-world example of how this applies and how one customer used it to their advantage. I'm going to walk you through the 3 phases this customer went through over time as they continuously improved their supply chain capabilities. To avoid confusion between our customer and our customer's customer, I'm going to make our story a little more personal and refer to we as our customer, and customer will refer to the end customer. Let's start with a common scenario that we have our enterprise systems, and we have an end customer or a depot. The end customer tracks inventory, and when needed, based upon typical lead times for their items, places an order by phone, web, or email to us with a requested delivery date. Phase 1 is simply augmenting the phone, web, and email and making this electronically integrated, typically via EDI or XML, and now moving to REST API calls. This provides process improvement and reduces labor and errors. Leveraging Integration Hub allows us to support omni-channel capabilities to process communications via whatever mechanism and data format are required, allowing us to support the broadest range of partner integration capabilities. Phase 1 still has a gap though. The customer was still experiencing stockouts and was looking to form a tight relationship with us to avoid these issues. To address issues at the depot or customer, Phase 2 switches us from being an order taker to an inventory manager. We adopt classic Kanban inventory manager approaches at the customer and establish optimized stock capacity, monitor consumption demand signals and replenishment needs, reorder points, and even critical inventory thresholds, which can drive decisions on our replenishment strategy and shipping methods. This increases our integration across the supply chain, and we may even introduce sensor technology at the depot to aid in inventory management. We can also add another data source to our integration hub for integrating to our logistics provider or even a transportation management system to cover multiple providers. This gives us transportation visibility to be alerted of a forecasted delay delivery so we can notify our customers. We optimize our internal processes and achieve 100% on-time shipment level. But the issue here is that the end customer was still facing a challenge on critical supplies. In this case, the end customer was a hospital, and going at inventory levels of critical or even 0 is life-threatening. You see, the metric wasn't that we did an excellent job of monitoring inventory levels and shipping everything on time for a perfect SLA. The real metric was that the customer inventory could not go to 0. On-time delivery, something managed by the logistics provider, was still the weak link. Most packages during transportation in the supply chain follow an optimization for cost and process an incredible amount of packages each year. According to lateshipment.com, in 2018, UPS and FedEx shipped a combined 35 million shipments per day and have about a 95% on-time delivery. That is a huge amount of packages and an overall excellent track record. But when your customer supplies are critical, 5% failure can be too high. At phase 3, the solution was to recognize that the goalpost had moved. We instead shift focus to on-time delivery versus on-time shipment. We devise a way to detect early enough in the delivery cycle that there may be a problem and take corrective action. In this case, we leverage our integration to our logistics provider to also consume and monitor the progress of the delivery through its various waypoints, while also continuing to monitor the customer's inventory level as it falls to yellow and even red. While a logistics provider monitors all their packages, they don't update their own delivery prediction until much later, once they've had a chance to re-optimize their whole network and decide which packages are going to be impacted due to a variety of factors. But we can recognize in real time by detecting risk if there are interim delays along the waypoints. And for critical inventory, we can arrange to provide a new shipment using a shipping method that was optimized for delivery time, such as overnight, instead of cost optimized that comes with a 2-day, 3-day, or ground shipment. And that is exactly what we did. We would overnight a new shipment of any critical items to ensure inventory levels never stocked out. Since we were managing inventory at the depot, we could reconcile the excess automatically as it gets consumed. Our approach was a success, and our customer was now satisfied that they chose the right partner to work with. Implementing an integration hub allows you to connect to new services and sources of information faster and develop new capabilities quickly. You can build more solutions that take advantage of real-time data and provide operational visibility across all of your systems, removing silos and data blindness. In this example, we have removed the barriers to data silos for information that was stored in our systems, our customer systems, and our logistics provider systems, combining them together to create new capabilities and a more resilient supply chain. Now, the need for an integration hub is growing even more as we look to add IoT and edge computing to our capabilities. It turns out that 80% of successful enterprise IoT solutions require integration to connect our information technology systems and our operational technology systems, and to handle additional data load and secure connectivity effectively. What's more, the number of devices and services are growing every month, many which are focused on a proprietary service to lock into that vendor's network. But what happens when you want to combine IoT sensors and services from multiple providers, or integrate back into your own IT systems to create new value-added services? That's why we have extended our integration hub to provide a vendor-neutral IoT platform that monitors, controls, and optimizes various types of IoT endpoints and works with a variety of hardware and software platforms, as well as their supporting systems integrators, technology alliances. Let's pause for a moment and take just a little bit of a deeper dive for my simplified view. The intent here is for those of you watching that are technical, this will give you a notional view of the major capabilities and the breadth of our solution stack. Whether we are connecting all the way back to the mainframe, whether you're trading partners that require EDI or XML, CSV, the partners that want to connect via APIs, this one integration hub has you covered while also providing a full suite of services to connect and manage your IoT devices. The integration hub can be deployed on-premise or in your private cloud to meet your security and change management and control needs. Bringing us back now to the Navy ERP program that I mentioned earlier. Navy ERP is a part of Navy's financial system of record. It streamlines the Navy's business operations, namely financial and supply chain management. This ongoing program initially covered over 40 various interfaces. The program has had so much success that it is now connected to over 75 various systems using over 700 APIs, connecting SAP to the Navy and DoD applications. It does so by leveraging our federated integration hub technology to manage over half the Navy's budget with plans to take on more. We have heard from many organizations about the amount of time typically spent without a federated integration hub. Some of these organizations reported each interface taking upwards of a year and costing hundreds of thousands of dollars each. We are happy to report this has not been the case for our customers, and instead typically start to see value in just a matter of weeks. Last year, the Navy very successfully migrated their entire solution, including our web-based integration hub, to their private cloud, well ahead of their original estimated timeframe. Another customer I'd like to highlight is the IRS. The IRS used its first computer for processing income tax returns in 1955, and has continually added layers and layers of technology and business functionality ever since. During fiscal year 2018, the IRS collected nearly $3.5 trillion, processed more than 250 million tax returns and other forms, and issued almost $464 billion in tax refunds. At peak times, they process hundreds of thousands of transactions per hour. They are tasked with administering the tax code, which is very complicated and changes at least annually. They also need to respond to rapidly changing service parameters, as we have seen this year as a result of COVID-19. The IRS computing environment that supports electronic form submissions, provides digital services to taxpayers, is reliant on an estimated 500 plus systems implemented across disparate technologies that were never envisioned to share business data with one another. WebMethods is the approved digital transformation middleware platform to address these needs. It processes all of the e-file tax filings as they move across the myriad of systems and checks against a tax return. If you've ever filed electronically and signed up for status notification, when you receive your confirmation that your tax form has been accepted, it is because WebMethods has moved your tax form across the various IRS systems to perform those initial acceptance tests. Having an integration hub has allowed the IRS to meet these challenges and deliver value faster. The IRS mission continues to expand as they see them move from just revenue collection to also providing additional data services across agencies. A perfect example of this is the Affordable Care Act. When ACA was passed, the IRS was there to quickly integrate with healthcare.gov to aid in plan eligibility determination. Now let's review our key enablers and takeaways from today's presentation. A recent study by Gartner identified 4 big trends that are forcing supply chains to change, and the evolution of technology is by far the prevailing force reshaping supply chains. Utilize a federated integration hub. As we have spoken a few times, you can save yourself a lot of time and money in providing one of the fastest ways to prepare your supply chain and systems to evolve at the speed required. Avoid doing point-to-point connections. Instead, leverage connections and build reusable APIs and services. Connectors can also be used to help you remove application-specific dependencies to give you more flexibility and reduce your testing time. By taking a no-code approach, you can shorten the time to value, improve quality, and eliminate upgrade rework or redevelopment needs. A central hub can provide a common set of services such as security policies, auditability of transactions, and traceability of changes, remove data blindness of data trapped in individual silos and systems of record. Ensure you have a robust solution that can address all of your needs, not just your immediate ones. Extend your existing investments. It is great to consider replacing what you have with the newest COTS or SaaS offerings, but you may be able to accelerate your time to value by leveraging what you already have and wrapping it with a federated integration hub. This will also allow you to break through your data silos and give you real-time operational intelligence on existing systems. This doesn't mean you should shy away from incorporating new approaches and services to meet your mission. Leveraging an integration hub approach will allow you to have the best of both worlds and accelerate your time to value. An integration hub approach will always continue to be updated to allow you to connect to the latest technologies, security standards, and edge IoT computing. Be wary of leveraging an integration platform that is thrown in from an application vendor. A vendor-neutral approach will ensure that you can integrate to the broadest set of technologies, products, and services, including your application vendors' competitors. Pick a company and product that has been proven over and over again at some of the largest commercial and government customers in the world in a large scale. In our virtual vendor booth at the Defense One Tech Summit, we have a short demo running and have staff there that are ready to take questions and provide answers. I appreciate everyone's time today. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.